President Buhari was sworn in today, and many are curious on his choice of ministers and what is on his agenda. A lot of people also are worried as to why the president didn't give a speech at the swearing in. Well, I still have my two guests in the studio talking about Babashola Debui and Francis Chilaka. They'll be rating the president on his first term. It's good to have you guys join me back. You're the best team to have on this issue. I'm trying to make you feel good, but that. So I'll start with you, Debui. The president did have an interesting conversation this week before his swearing in. I am still at a loss for words because I'm still trying to understand the idea behind that interview. Was it to make a case for the fact that since you people are not asking for my scorecard, I want to show you my scorecard before I leave? Or could it also just have been that, you know, the NTA was trying to do their due diligence to ask and probe the president since they didn't see a scorecard and they wanted to ask what he has done as he gets ready to go into a new era. But beautiful thing that the NTA did, by the way. I'm just wondering to myself, that interview, did it really serve the purpose of, let's for example say, the scorecard? Do you think the president was just praising himself, or he gave us what we, the people, needed to hear?
Actually, when I was listening to that interview, watching the interview on TV, I asked myself a question: why this interview just 2 days to Inauguration Day? And that should be the second time throughout the whole 4 years that the president will be having an interview on here. I remember the first time it was a journalist media thing that they had. This one is only NTA. So as far as I'm concerned, it's an arranged interview.
How can you say that?
Well, if he wants to have a media chat, I expect all the, at least, major media houses to be present. You get, and we all know how it works. If you want to interview, you can't interview the president without letting the president know the questions you are going to ask him. That is normal. That's number one. Number two, ever since he became the president, he only addressed the nation, apart from the Independence Day and May 29, that comes out to address the nation, was the first time after I returned 3 months or 6 months from the UK when he was here to warn Nnamdi Kanu. And the second time was just 2 days to the election that was postponed, if you remember very well. So the president has not actually carried his people along. Now, I'm not surprised about not giving the inaugural speech or not, because the reason I'm not surprised.
You're the first person who's saying that, because everybody was expecting another speech.
We know, the reason I said I'm not surprised is this. If you listen to them last week, they said there's not going to be a flamboyant inauguration, that the main one will come on June 12th.
But that did not mean that we were going to skip on the most important thing, which is we want to know what your plans are.
That's to tell you where we are going. We are going to the next level. We are going to the next level where the president will do whatever he likes. He's not coming back after today.
I totally want to disagree with you because there's so much sarcasm in your voice. But I tell you what, the president's first inaugural speech in 2015 was a hit. It was a hit because that's where the famous "I am for everyone and for nobody." And so, if there is a mantra such as next level, of course, we're expecting a double dose of what we got at that inaugural. I'm guessing, maybe I might be misreading or misquoting, if they're saying they wanted to have a low-key event, it probably was in the pomp and the ceremony, not necessarily in what the people need to know as to your plans for the next 4 years. Mr. Francis.
Let me put it this way. I've always said it, that those who are managing Mr. President in terms of media and communication, they're not doing a good job.
Should he fire them?
Well, this president hardly fires anybody.
Oh, wow.
So you and I know that even Nigerians naturally don't resign when they need to resign. Houses will collapse, a commissioner or minister will not resign. You know, so for me, I would say that today, of all days, is a day that Nigerians wanted to hear from Mr. President. It's not just for a day to, sign papers, be sworn in, and, it's like nothing has happened. So I keep saying that those handling him media-wise have not been doing what they should do. And it also, that followed the whole 4 years of, the administration. Because a lot of things, which in quotes, the president claims to be doing, nobody hears about them. So if the people managing him keep hiding him from the people, and then I wonder what they really have at the back of their mind. You can't have a president that cannot relate with his people. You can't have a president that cannot give a speech, freely to his people. And you can't have a president where each time you want to have an interview, it must be one television station, it's pre-recorded, and then it is distributed to other television stations. No. We need to move away from that. We need to have a president that can come out in public and talk to the people. The people need to feel their president very well.
But this is Nigeria. We do not have a Donald Trump who's always speaking to the press every other day. We know who we have as a president, who is not necessarily a talker. He doesn't talk too much, except he has a lot to say. So why should we be expecting him to change overnight for us?
I want to disagree with you. Maybe you've not been following Mr. President. Mr. President travels out of Nigeria today. In the next 2 hours, you'll be hearing 2 different press releases.
Well,
so why is it that Mr. President is comfortable talking to foreign press and not talking to the local press? I mean, what is the problem? But is it that he doesn't trust the Nigerian press?
But could he also be, because I fall in that category of
that's
Nigerian
what I'm
press,
asking you.
Could he also be that we're not pushing enough? We're not asking the kind of questions that we should be asking. We just wait until he speaks. But then the foreign media is pressing him.
Do you have the opportunity?
I'm just saying.
No, if you have the opportunity.
What do you mean, do we have the opportunity?
Do you know there is a law that has been passed by the National Assembly that the president should be doing presidential media chats at least every quarter? There is an existing act which the president himself signed. You get my point? So, and it is the duty of the Minister of Information, the Special Assistant on media to ensure, and Special Advisor to ensure this happens. But like he said, most of them, it's either they know their responsibility and they are not ready for it, or they don't know their responsibility, or the president is not interested. So, which of course they should have taken up, most especially by the National Assembly. The National Assembly should have taken that up against the president.
I am a member of the Fourth Estate. Yes, I know. But I'm saying, maybe we should be the ones setting the agenda for Mr. President.
How do you go about doing that?
How do we make the president speak more often instead of waiting for Mr. President to come up with something to say? There are lots of things that are happening. We report on it, but how do we push these issues so much so that Mr. President will be forced to speak on it instead of waiting for him to go abroad?
Let me help you. Let me do a little bit of analysis so you understand where we are and where we're headed to.
Okay.
The only time you get to have a free meeting with our, in quotes, politicians is during campaigns. That is when you see them selling corn on the road, frying akara, hawking pure water and all of that. Now, after that, do you really see them?
Do we really have these people do these things you mentioned?
No, they do it.
Oh, wow.
Do you really see them? You don't get to see them. Now, you only have to deal with those special advisors, ministers. Now, these people keep shielding the governor, they keep shielding the president, they keep shielding the Senate president. So we have a system where people get into power and they're shielded from the people. So it's not, there's nothing much you can do. There's nothing much Plus TV, for instance, can do to get Mr. President to talk to them. You need to pass through these channels. It is the duty of these people to open up the doors, open up the windows, so that fresh air can come in, fresh ideas can come in. When Mr. President begins to listen to the people, he must have a forum where people talk to him and he talks back to the people.
Going forward, we have just about, I'll give you 2 minutes each. Setting the agenda for Mr. President. He campaigned on insecurity, the economy, and the fight against corruption. I'm going to, at the end of the day, allow you guys to rate Mr. President on those 3 things. But going forward now, where do you think he should start this new tenure? What issues should he attack headlong as soon as he sets the ball rolling? I mean, he has started, and tomorrow it's going to be 24 hours as the, president, again, of Nigeria.
Well, I think the first thing first is that I expect that by tomorrow, Mr. President should tell us who his ministers are. He can't work in a vacuum. We need to know who the ministers are. And I would say that the first thing Mr. President should tackle is the insecurity in the land. People are scared. A few days back, he rolled out an executive order asking people to bring in their guns and all of that. Now, people are also skeptical. The headsmen, the bandits have their guns. You've not collected it from them. Then you're asking the ordinary citizens to tender their own. It doesn't add up. So I think that Mr. President should sit down, tell us who his ministers are, and tell us how he intends to fight the insecurity in the land. Okay,
Adegui.
Yeah, what I want the president to focus on is on human capital development. The government has to do something about it. When we are talking of insecurity, as long as there is no employment, insecurity will continue.
Hey, the president, I hear Lai Mohammed telling you, oh, we have the market women's money or whatever it's called. We also have the 5,000 naira. We have the school feeding. They tell you they have so many, human capital development,
okay,
things that they've
10,000 naira, 5,000 naira. That's not what we're talking about.
Trader money.
What we are talking about is for the president to open avenues for investment, for companies, that employ people, and also focus on agriculture sector.
Mr. Debi,
yes,
nobody, no investor would invest his money in a place that is insecure. So exactly we need to tackle the security of this country. Our security architecture right now is zero. Mr. President needs to rejig his service chiefs. He needs to look into them. He needs to find out where there's a problem. There's a problem. Every problem has a solution. And I would say that Mr. President, being a retired general, understands what it means to tackle security issues.
And I will play the mouthpiece of the government again. Recently, they've had new ammunitions being brought in to help the army. For the police, the former police chief was told to move to Benue. He didn't, so he was kicked out of office.
He wasn't kicked out.
Not immediately.
No, he wasn't kicked out.
Well, he resigned. You said rejig, and Mr. President has rejigged the police department, so we have a new police chief. And maybe with time he would, retire these other service chiefs, but he has done something in terms of insecurity, or is there any other specific thing that you would want to? I'm just trying to play the devil's advocate.
When you say he has done something, and people are being killed left, right, center, forward, people are being kidnapped.
I'm not the president.
No. You're holding right now. You're holding a brief for Mr. President.
I was re-echoing what Lai Mohammed would say.
But I don't. Honestly, let me tell you the truth. With due respect to Lai Mohammed, I don't listen to him. He's one of those people in government that I try not to listen to, because each time that man speaks, I get upset.
Government. He's the honorable minister.
He has not represented his government very well.
It's your opinion. It's your opinion.
It is my personal opinion. I'm not going to deny that.
Actually, I agree with him. For the past 3 years now, I've not been listening to the Minister of Information. Likewise, one of the special media advisor, that's Gaba Shehu. I don't listen to him. Fem additional is just once in a while.
Yes, he tries once in a while to balance it.
So the government, the president has to do a lot of things. As far as I'm concerned, the last 4 years, there was no team. In the last 4 years, you will hear the minister here will be saying something that will contradict what Minister Abe has told the public. So he has to do
something.
So
information management has to be key.
It has to be. It was very poor during the last 4 years. Very poor. The image maker did not help him at all.
All right, I'll ask a question. Yesterday, I spoke with Mr. Femi Falana on an issue which he raised against the president, saying he never obeyed court orders. And if we must be able to say that we're in a democratic system of government, then the law has to somewhat be respected. Let's quickly, in a few words, I'll start with you, Adebuyi. Do we see the president changing to a new leaf, being that, let's say that his first tenure, he was still trying to get used to the terrain of being a democratic leader, not necessarily what he used to be in the past. And now he has somewhat mastered, and he can walk in his own shoes now. Do you see things changing, especially in the fight against corruption?
Well, seeing the government doing the new things, number one, in respect of obeying the court order, for me to agree that it's going to obey the court order, in the next 4 days, we should release that suki according to the judgment has been given. This man too, Zaki, he should also release him, let them go home. The court has already given them bail to go home, and they'll be coming from home to the court. Let him do something about that. Then in fighting corruption, as like I always tell people, fighting corruption, as far as I'm concerned, if for the government to fail the last 4 years in respect of corruption, because he did fight corruption as far as I'm concerned, in this new 4 years, I'm not seeing him doing that until he starts jailing politicians who actually are stealing our money in the past, until start jailing them, and not the Yahoo guys or the fraudster, the real politician.
But it is not the president's place to jail anybody, is it? I mean, he's just the president. He just...
It's all about making the institution. What is the law that is protecting the politician that is not protecting the Yahoo boys? You got my point. Okay. It's all about stealing. The government has to do something about the institution of either the court, of both the court and the agencies. Okay, well, we got to go, gentlemen. We have just 1 second each. Let's rate the president's first 4 years.
45%.
Wow, that's generous.
Very generous.
Yes.
I mean, that's the most generous.
I have my reasons for
today.
giving him 45%.
Why?
Okay.
Quickly.
I'll say that what the president has done is what no president in Nigeria has been able to do. Nigerians now live within their means.
Ah, okay.
Yes, even though it is tough, we need to, until we get to that point where people live within their means, that's the only way you can fight corruption.
That's debatable. But
well, as for me, 25%.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's 10% lower. But thank you very much, Babashala Degui, political analyst, Francis Chilaka, global administrator, and Imo Network Group member. Thank you very much for being here, gentlemen. We'll take a short break and bring you our Plus Politics package, and when I come back, I'll be giving you my take.
Buhari. Barely 24 hours after Nigeria's electoral umpire, INEC, declared the incumbent president, Muhammadu Buhari, winner of the February 23rd presidential election. Some Nigerians say they are full of expectations.
I don't expect anything more than what's currently on the ground. I would give it to the president that, to an extent, he has tried to improve the welfare of the youths via provision of employment opportunities. You will hear things like Empower and so on and so forth. But for me, it's just business as usual.
I don't tire for Buhari. I don't like Buhari. May Buhari do Nigeria, may better.
Me, I want to make him do better now. Supposed to make him do better. Make him try for this one. Because we boot him now.
At the verse, so see, it's Ojoro, we don't want Buhari at all. Nobody voted for him. They ring the election. That is just the truth. You understand?
I'm not a supporter of this administration. I was on the opposition side currently, but my expectation is that they will try and unite the country, and they will do away with nepotism and imperialism so that we can move forward in this country.
He's a matured man, so he's supposed to know what is good for Nigeria to do.
These Lagosians also share their opinions on the refusal of the PDP candidate Atiku Abubakar to accept defeat at the polls or congratulate the APC candidate.
You should call him for what? They should remove Buhari in short. They should remove him from they should redo the election, or they take the case to court. He did not win. He did not. Who voted for Buhari now? Nobody voted for him. You understand? Nobody voted for him. He did not win the election. They rig it. You understand? That is it.
He has the right to go to court, and I don't think there is anything that is stopping him from going to court. So, because we all witness it, and I'm sure there are viral videos showing that the elections did not go well in a lot of places as well. So he has the very good right to go to court.
The APC won the election by at least 15 million votes, leading the PDP, which recorded a little over 15 million votes. Mary Chinda for Plus TV Africa.
Well, it's time for my take. As we celebrate the inauguration of our presidents and the different state governors, it behoves upon us, the people, to get ready to tighten our belts and, lace our shoes, because we cannot sit back in our, sitting rooms or in those places where we sit and analyze politics. It's time for us to take these governments more seriously. In other words, every word that falls from their mouth, we will hold on to it and we will speak it back to them and say, well, you promised this and you promised that. You have not done it. We're waiting. And if you don't, we will show you the door. There are laws that need to be obeyed in this country. We cannot have leaders who call themselves leaders that disobey court orders. The law of the land is supposed to be as superior can be. But if our leaders are not obeying these laws, then what kind of country are we? Again, it reflects on us as a people. What kind of people are we? So the next time you go out there and a police officer stops you and you try to bribe him because you do not have your papers, you are part of the problem. The next time you go to a place and, let's say, government office, and you're supposed to wait in line and you try to bribe that public officer, you are part of the problem. If we all start to do the right thing, then our leaders have no choice but to follow through. I am Mary Anacone, and it's been Plus Politics. Have a lovely day.